I have been seated for 2 entire years waiting for this season to come out. Welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel where we do miscellaneous things. I'm Zeleny. I typically cover TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things on this channel, so subscribe if that's your vibe. Today we're talking about the Ultimatum Queer Love Season 2, episodes 1 through 7, and I'm so freaking excited because the Queer Ultimatum is literally my favorite of all of the dating reality TV shows I cover. I just get extra excited for queer representation in dating shows because it is so freaking rare. Are You the One, Come All season? You are so missed. I just feel like I have seen every single iteration of a heterosexual relationship on these shows, but with queer relationships, there's just different challenges and dynamics and traditions that it really makes Queer Ultimatum for me one of the most compelling dating shows out there. I mean, the Ultimatum itself, like, I will never not bring this up, but like the concept is just so insane already, and then you add queer relationships to it and dynamics. I think a lot of us were enthralled by season 1, and that's why I was always checking if there was going to be a season 2. I remember it was renewed, but then every new season of TV I was like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? They promised it. Is it coming? And then they would say it was coming, but it was like we never got answers. So it's finally here. They always like save it for Pride Month. I feel like happy Pride. Yay. The Ultimatum is just crazy. Honestly, the rules are never clear for each couple going into the Ultimatum, so I never know, like, are they allowed to hook up with the trial person? Are they not? Is it just like each couple sets the rules for themselves off camera? Or maybe on camera and they cut that out, but they specifically choose to not show us that. So I always feel like, am I supposed to root for, like, them hooking up? Or am I supposed to root for, like, the more wholesome approach, like them just learning stuff? But because it is supposed to be like a break, and the show insists on them calling each other exes, the original partners they came with, I'm not sure what I root for in like the trial marriage portion, but it's always a mess once they come back together, and I'm here for the mess. My general thoughts on season 2 so far of Queer Love is the cast feels a little more normie than season 1. If that makes any sense. It's like the vibe. I feel like half of the cast is kind of really boring, but then the other half, unhinged. Absolutely unhinged. It makes for like all the drama and mess I know and love from Queer Ultimatum so far. So I'm really enjoying the season. It was definitely more of a slow burn for me, but once shit hit the fan, it was game on. I am still mad they have like the randomest straight lady host for this show. I'll say it every time. This is such a missed opportunity to cast a queer icon, one of the many queer icons. Like, imagine Gabby Windey as a host of this show. The ratings would skyrocket. Gabby is a famously married woman. Imagine her wife, Robbie Hoffman, who is a hilarious comedian. Imagine both of them hosting this show the way Nick and Vanessa Lachey host Love is Blind. Like, it would be amazing. How about Chriselle Strauss, if you want to keep it in the Netflix family? I mean, she's right there. I'm sure she would take the gig. Why is the star of the ABC Family original movie Revenge of the Bridesmaids the host of this show? Why is Princess Ariel from Once Upon a Time hosting this show? Like, at least get freaking Mulan in there. She was fierce and gay. Spoiler alert. I mean, we all know Mulan is gay, right? So just a reminder, because I have already seen social media going a little wild, do not send hate to any of the participants. We are just here to kiki and discuss this very interesting show, but very highly edited show. Like, I'm already seeing contestants get so much hate. They're like blaming it on the edit. I will just be giving opinions on like the narrative I see of each person, but these people are multifaceted and I don't know them. So the judgments I'll make on their relationships are just like surface level from what I see on this show. Let's discuss. I'm going to go through each couple. I think I'm just going to stick to the original pairs, and within that talk about how each of their trial marriages went. If you haven't seen the show, it will probably be hard to keep up, so I recommend watching the show. It's a good show. And this season apparently takes place in Florida. I had read it was Miami, but they talk about being from like Orlando, from Glendale, from different areas of Florida. So it might just be kind of more of a wider regional thing, which makes sense. I feel like that might be one of the delays with the Queer Ultimatum seasons, is that it's hard to like cast queer people for this show, because I don't think there's as big of a pool of queer couples that are in this predicament, that are in, you know, the age range, that are in like looks wise, what they're looking for, same regional area. Let me start with AJ and Britney. Britney issued the ultimatum. AJ was very interesting because at the beginning she was shaping up to be kind of a villain of the season. It felt like she was just very overly excited about the dating phase of the experiment and like calling herself single again. It felt like she was there to hook up. And throughout the dating, she ended up having 3 fairly intense connections, and she definitely led on a couple, at least one of the women, Marita. She led her on big time, and I felt bad for her. One of the women kind of catches on, Bridget, and she like calls her out for kind of telling everyone what they want to hear and having this like intense connection with everybody. I don't know that Bridget's call out at the choice dinner was like totally necessary. I was happy for the drama, at least. I don't think it was right of AJ to like lead everyone on so hard. But I do think she is just like very charismatic and very smooth with the ladies. She seems just like really extroverted, and that she enjoys flirting, and that kind of like got her in a pickle there. And even Britney, her partner, was not surprised that she had all these connections. It wasn't the best thing, but AJ's dating approach was definitely a lot more sinister at first to me, and then as the season went on, it ended up way less malicious, given how she actually approached the real trial marriage. First of all, I was surprised she chose Marie, because it felt like AJ had all this like sexual tension with Marita, and I thought she was going to go for her and be excited to cheat. I mean, that was the vibe she was giving. But then she went with a connection that was like less sexual tension-y and more like just emotional connection, I guess. And then once they got into the trial marriages, it felt like AJ did a whole 180, and she didn't seem interested at all in hooking up with her trial marriage partner. I felt like AJ and Marie did have potential at first. They had good chemistry, but then AJ broke Marie's trust pretty early on, because AJ went up and met up with Britney twice, kind of in the middle of the night, snuck off. AJ and Britney did cut it off after the second time they met up, but it was like too little too late. She couldn't get that trust back from Marie. And it was kind of unfortunate because AJ kind of became Marie's therapist. Marie was just often venting to AJ about her relationship that she came in here with. So it really didn't feel like AJ got a very focused experience, but it was also kind of her fault at the beginning, breaking that trust. And I do feel like something happened when she met up with Britney, where they kind of like realigned and just kind of like extra committed to each other, because AJ just like did not like try to get romantic at all at any point with Marie. It was kind of the biggest surprise, because from the dating you would think she'd be the quickest to jump at the opportunity. And then on Britney's end, she got the short end of the stick with the pairings, because she ended up getting the leftover pick. That's the other thing about the ultimatum that is like so bizarre, is that like the dating pool is so small. Like the odds of finding someone compatible are so low, and that's why every season we see like 2 couples have chemistry maybe, and then everyone else is just kind of like paired up by default, or like they just don't vibe. It's just like a weird ass concept, and you'll never convince me otherwise. Britney and Marita were like the last 2 not picked. they didn't get their first choices and they ended up together. They both did decide to like lean into the experiment together and give it a try, even though they didn't really have feelings for each other. By the end, they were very much giving bestie vibes. They were really cute together in that sense. And Britney really gave an honest effort to Marita. She seems like a really cool, nice girl. Marita wanted all these like romantic gestures and Britney did it pretty effortlessly. She just tried to like listen to what she wanted and do it as like a practice for her own relationship. So when they come back together for their trial marriage, Britney and AJ are kind of in the best place out of any of the couples. They're doing pretty good. They both didn't have romantic interest with their partners. They didn't cross any boundaries. I mean, they technically did cross one. Britney made oxtail for Marita and AJ was pissed about that. But this couple is pretty good if that's their biggest conflict. Like, their biggest conflict is very lighthearted and sweet. As far as outcomes go, I'm rooting for them the most to get engaged. I would be fine with that. I mean, AJ seems like scared of the commitment and like intimidating by Britney's success because she's had a lot of success and she works a lot. They're the only couple that feels closer after this experiment rather than like pushed apart. So the next couple is Bridget and Kyle. So Kyle issued the ultimatum to Bridget. Their trial marriages both aren't like the best experiences for different reasons. So first we have Kyle and Pilar. Kyle in their trial marriage was just like kind of reserved and awkward the whole time. Pilar was more all in and seemed ready to lean in to the experience, whatever that means, like explore physically, like be more like really we're trial wives, you know? But Kyle was not into it. They still did cuddle the first night, it sounds like, according to them, but then everything changed after the kiss incident. Kyle seemed really guilty that they allowed this to happen, that they like reciprocated the kiss that Pilar had initiated. After that, she totally put up a wall. And then on top of it, Kyle is very conflict avoidant and they do realize this and talk about it, but they don't want to be like very upfront with Pilar a lot of the time. So they kind of skirt around the issue and they're talking. On Bridget's end, she gets paired up with Ashley. And this was not the best trial marriage either because Bridget was kind of really into AJ at the beginning and then she didn't like how AJ was moving in the dating, thought it was sleazy, and so Bridget had to kind of scramble for a second choice, and that was Ashley. Ashley this whole time was giving absolutely nothing. Some people are just not meant to be on television, and that's okay, but this Ashley girl, it took me forever to even figure out she was there, who she was, what was her name, because they really don't show her because I don't think she's given much. Bridget kind of like scrambles to like have some sort of connection with Ashley and they get paired up, but through their trial marriages, it was giving very roommates vibes, and they were roommates. But actually, they were like just roommates. She was a bit flirty at their pottery date, but I think it's more because pottery lends itself to like so many innuendos. She even like ghosted her at one point. Not like ghosted her, she ghosted her at the pottery. Pottery is just such a flirty activity. I never realized. When Bridget and Kyle came back together, Bridget is super offended that the kiss happened, which was kind of not what I expected. Just because, like, Bridget is so easygoing, go with the flow, I just assumed she'd be like, okay, I mean, you did what you could. And also, we didn't really see Kyle explain how the kiss went down the same way she explained it before, where, like, Pilar was very much the initiator. Maybe Kyle feels like it just doesn't matter because they were still like an active participant in the kiss. I don't know if this couple should work out. I don't think their problems are that massive. Bridget keeps bringing up she's afraid to lose spontaneity and afraid of the monotony that marriage might entail. So that's kind of like her big thing. And I don't know that anything in this experience solved that or answered that question. I'm not rooting against them. Like a lot of other couples that are messy, I root against them. I think Kyle and Bridget would work out just fine. But also, if they broke up, they'd be fine too. Her issue of Kyle kissing Pilar is kind of like a small thing compared to some of the other couples and what they're going through. So let's get into that mess with Mel and Marie. This is more of a throuple. It's Mel, Marie, and a food truck. They own a food truck together, and it seems to be more Mel's thing, and Marie for the past 4 years has been supporting and working at this food truck. So Marie issued the ultimatum because she wants to start a family, make it official. In the dating portion, Mel was similar to AJ in that she was freaking excited to be single, to be flirting. She had 2 big connections. The connection Mel did end up going for was Dayna, who from the moment they met, Mel said, Dayna's our trouble. And oh my God, Mel and Dayna and their trial marriage. This was the epitome of 2 dumb bitches telling each other exactly. For me, the first red flag was at the dating portion before the trial marriage, when Mel is kind of going between Britney and Dayna pulls her aside and is kind of like aggressive to her a little bit. And Dayna tells Mel, like, you're giving me trust issues already. The way you're like, you know, romancing Britney in front of me. It just kind of comes off jealous and possessive for how early it is. Like, it's not that aggressive in the moment. As an isolated incident, it's not anything that big a deal. But for me, it was the first red flag. And I was like, I'm going to keep my eye on this Dayna girl, because if she's this early already kind of like testing the limits or just kind of like acting possessive over Mel, like a stranger she just met, what does that mean for a long-term partner with her? Especially at the end of this conversation where she said, you know, if you screw with me, I will run your food truck into the river. And it is a joke. It's a joke, but like it felt a little intense and a little aggressive for barely knowing this lady. That was the first red flag for Dayna and the first red flag for Mel. Well, no, it was probably like the 5th red flag for Mel, but it was also a red flag that Mel liked it. She was excited by this attitude and this kind of jealousy from Dayna. She should have recognized this moment as a red flag, and she didn't, and she enabled it. So like them getting together, Las Toxicas linked up big time with this trial marriage, and they knew they were being shady too. They kept saying, we're going to make bad decisions, have a bad influence on you. Together we'll make bad decisions and regret it later. Mel kept saying, like, Dayna is trouble. She's risky. Like, all of these things where it's like they knew they were getting themselves into trouble with their original partners, but they could not resist. So yeah, their trial marriage, oh my God. They get a little codependent. They talk about that. Dayna is kind of concerned about this and is like, I'm concerned I'm getting codependent. And Mel just enables it. And she's like, I don't think we spend enough time together. And it's like, oh, girl, no, no, you're both crazy. They just get very deep and intense very fast. And even Mel tells her, like, she can't carry children. Apparently, Mel hasn't told this to Marie, her partner of 4 years. You're telling your trial wife, but you're not telling, like, your life partner this kind of important thing about your life. At the end of their trial marriage, Dayna and Mel write these, like, letters to each other, like goodbye letters. But to me, they felt like vows. Like, they were very similar vibes to wedding vows. And the biggest thing with Dayna and Mel is that they did get physical. They're one of the few couples that did. The show very much implies that they hook up fully, they go all the way, that they have sex, but they deny they had any sex. They deny it to their original partners when they get back to them, and to this day on social media, they are denying that they hooked up all the way. That it was the edit, that the moans were put in, because when they hook up, we hear the noises of it, but we don't see anything. And I remember, I feel like last season there was a similar moan gate situation where the edit added in some moaning, and later on social media they were saying that wasn't, you know, accurate. That was some movie magic, you know? Let's give the benefit of the doubt. Let's say they did not have sex. Let's choose to believe them for a second. Let's focus on the evidence we do have. The hardcore making out on multiple occasions, that is on camera. We saw that. The ass grabbing during said making out, we saw that. Mel chewing Dayna's gum out of her mouth, we didn't see that, but they mentioned that that happened. And then the infamous Spotify playlist. So the whole Spotify debacle is producer shenanigans down. These aren't proven necessarily. We don't physically see the Spotify playlist, but Magan and Haley do bring this evidence to the table at the changeover. Dayna and Mel's Spotify accounts mysteriously popped up on Magan and Haley's TV, and Magan is Dayna's original partner. And they see that the Spotify has all the recently played is sex playlists, that there's like a playlist made just for them two, and Dayna had taken songs from her original partnership to that sex playlist. It was juicy. I assume like a producer was somewhere in Dayna and Mel's apartment and had access to their phone. Maybe someone was in the shower, someone was getting ready, someone was in the bathroom, and the producer cast it to the Spotify and found like the other TV. I do believe the actual content of the playlist. And they're trying to say on social media like it's all sad songs on there, if y'all only knew. And it's like, it doesn't matter what songs are in there. If they're labeled sex playlists, well, that's your sex playlist. I don't know if like Dayna and Mel are just like finding a loophole. Maybe they did everything but what they consider sex, and that's the technicality. They're like, we didn't have sex, but it's like, but we did everything else. That's like the footnote, or they're just lying, or they just made out. I just don't see it. Like, we see Dayna is topless at one point and Mel runs after her into the room. Like, we can put two and two together that some lines must have been crossed. Like, physical intimacy was there. And then we get to the tattoos. This is one of the most unhinged things I've seen on the Ultimatum. Dayna and Mel get matching tattoos at the end of their experiment, which is arguably worse than hooking up because that shit is permanent. Like, oh my god. And then we find out that Dayna was gonna do that with her original partner. That was such a gag of the season. I was like freaking out. We'll revisit Dayna in a bit and her couple. But let me pivot to Marie and AJ. We already talked about Marie's trial marriage. She was with AJ, and they had a lot of promise in the beginning. Marie was very flirty with AJ, and she seemed very excited. But then once AJ met up with her original partner, Marie just lost all trust. It was kind of interesting because Marie, to AJ's face, was like, "It's okay, I forgive you. Like, it is what it is." But to the confessional, Marie was like pissed. And I feel like that it was kind of a pattern with Marie of like, she doesn't really confront the issues in her partnership head on or very honestly. She just like pushes down her feelings a lot to like appease the other person. Mel has brought up that that's an issue of like, anytime Mel has a concern, Marie's just like, yeah. Like, she doesn't have time for it or doesn't want to get into the nitty-gritty. So yeah, Marie lost interest in AJ romantically after that. She refocused on Mel, especially after this incident where Marie ran into Mel and Dayna at the pool, and Mel wouldn't even look at her. Mel ignored her. So Marie spirals after that, and AJ is just kind of like her pseudo therapist. And then at one of the gatherings, because this was an interesting thing this season, all the ultimatum receivers got with ultimatum givers, so they were able to do a whole little cocktail hangout thing with all of just the ultimatum receivers and all of the ultimatum givers. And this just kind of worked out really neatly for the show. At this gathering, Marie finds out from Haley that Mel is hooking up with Dayna. And Haley, that's where she teases that she has receipts, which I believe are the Spotify playlists, but she doesn't say that yet. And Marie seeks out Mel during her trial marriage to ask her directly. She's pissed off, but then Mel denies it completely. She turns Marie against Haley for spreading this false information. That was wild to see her deny it so hard when it's like on camera. The actual act is not on camera, so it's up in the air, sure, but like the hardcore making out, the nudity, the ass grabbing, like that's enough of like crossing boundaries. The thing that Mel owns up to is just a kiss. And it's so sad because Marie chooses to believe Mel, chooses to believe her partner. Whether Mel did fully hook up or do everything with Dayna, the way she is so checked out of her and Marie's relationship and like so giddy and excited about her trial marriage and like telling Dayna intimate things, like that's all still crossing boundaries, I think, and I don't think Marie would approve of this behavior. Once Mel and Marie get back together, they are on rocky ground, obviously, because of all of this. Mel continues to deny anything major happened physically. Sadly, Marie goes full Delulu on this. Even Marie's reaction to the tattoo is sad because she's like more just like annoyed about it instead of like shocked and appalled. I would be shocked and appalled, but she was just like, oh, this girl's gonna be in my life forever, isn't she? Which is just kind of taking for granted that Mel wants marriage and wants to be together forever, and I think that's what Marie is very in denial about. It does kind of feel like Marie just pushes all of us down and Marie and Mel go back to normal-ish, which surprised me. We see them on this like smoothie date and Mel talks about not really wanting kids, not really wanting a family, and Maria's like, that's fine. We don't need a family. I don't need a family. When she has mentioned a lot before she does want a family. Mel is trying to tell her like, no, don't compromise on that. It's what you want. And it kind of feels like Mel is trying to find an out of this relationship and like push Marie away, but like make Marie realize it on her own and make Marie not want to be together. Like see that they're not compatible. Instead of just like being direct and being like, I want to break up if that's what she wants to do, which is unclear, but I feel like her actions on the show imply that she wants to break up. So I personally, based on what I've seen on the show, don't think they should be together. I feel so bad for Marie because I feel like a lot of her issues stem from financial anxiety. When I say the food truck was the third person in their relationship, I'm kind of not kidding because Marie talks about work a lot. She brings up work constantly because I think that's like most of what she does in her life. And it makes sense when you have your own business, especially in food, like you are working constantly all the time. She's been working at this for 4 years. It's her main job. Losing your job and your career on top of losing your partner is extremely heavy. Like I understand kind of why she's in denial. Losing that income and job security seems to be like the scarier part about losing Mel more than anything. But Mel is being shady and they want different things and she's just stuck there. Like it's really sad, and it's sad because I get it. It's like in this economy, losing your job is one of the scariest things. But I just really hope Marie wakes up and is able to find a new job that isn't, you know, tied to her relationship. I don't know. I'm not rooting for this couple to be together. But I get Marie's anxieties and fears because that's like really serious. Okay, and next our other very messy couple, Magan and Dayna. And we've already talked a lot about Dayna, but now Magan's in the mix and it's wild. Dayna issued the ultimatum on Magan. Dayna wants to feel like a priority in Magan's life, and Magan is still kind of unpacking her identity and doesn't know for sure what marriage will mean to her family because her family does not really approve of her being lesbian. It's really sad, and Magan still has like a lot of unpacking to do there. It's a tough situation, and it's one of these extra dimensions that come into play in a queer dating show, just like the way society treats queer people. So Dayna, we already discussed, was in a trial marriage with Mel. They were both chaos goblins together. They're wild, we just talked about it, and they're always talking about how similar they are. And it's true. They were both chaotic as hell. And it's weird how much Dayna and Mel like cover for each other. Like when they're at the pool and they run into their former partners, they both ignore their previous partners. It's like they're in agreement on these shitty actions and decisions at all times. They're also both denying that the sexual relations happened. And when they do their little cocktail gatherings, Mel is defending Dayna to everybody. Dayna is defending Mel. But towards the end of trial marriages, Dayna does refocus a bit on Magan. It's after Dayna and Mel meet Dayna's mom and sister, I believe. And the mom and sister are kind of like, you know, Magan is great. Magan makes you a better person. And that kind of makes Dayna start to think about Magan a lot more and like wonder what she's up to, and she starts breaking down about the whole experience. This is where Dayna calls Magan, contacts her, and they have this really big fight where Magan is kind of over it with Dayna and over the dramatics because Magan's already been hurt by Dayna ignoring her at the pool and stuff. During this fight, I think Dayna realizes she is losing Magan, and it makes her seem less interested in Mel after this point. Mel starts asking Dayna, like, what does this mean for us? Do we have feelings for each other? How does the future look? And Dayna can't really give her any clear answers. Mel is kind of wanting those answers and being like, you know, if I'm going to blow up my life, I want it to be worth it, I guess. But Dayna can't really provide that because I think she's slowly backing away from the Mel relationship because now she realizes she's lost or is losing her current partner and is like, oh shit, I need to go figure that out. But it was still after this that Dayna and Mel got the matching tattoos, and it was extra diabolical that Dayna and Magan had planned to do this after the show. That's some diabolical shit. Like, I know tattoos don't mean that much to some people, but like, this is wild. Like, at least, you know, be friends for a couple years after this and then see about matching tattoos. But like 3 weeks or 2 weeks, the tattoos were crazy to me. Okay, let's take a hard pivot and talk about Magan's trial marriage. And Magan ended up with Haley. They had the love story of the century over here going on. It's also about like the journey that Magan went on from, at the very beginning, she wanted to back out of the show entirely. And by the end, she's fully in love with someone new. As the audience, we love a journey like that. We love a transformation. It's extremely compelling and it's reality TV gold. And Magan and Haley's progression was kind of beautiful to watch. Was it right? No, I don't think it was either. But they were just so at peace. I was like, are they soulmates? Did I just witness soulmates finding each other? Like, what is this great romance? They're like always giddy, always happy, always so at peace. They kept saying how easy it all was living together, and they just like fit into each other, like anticipating each other's needs and stuff. Maybe it's just that Magan hasn't had a healthy relationship before, so she's kind of gagged when she's in one, or at least not with Dayna, I don't predict. So now it seems like Magan has woken up and realized what her life could be like. I mean, she says that outright. And Magan and Haley get very physical as well. They go all the way and they don't deny it. They say it up front. Complete honesty about that. Magan's friends meet Haley, and then Haley's family meets Magan, and all of the friends and family really approve of them together. They really like them together. It's kind of wild, Magan starts feeling more empowered to like work on her family's acceptance of her and therefore maybe her own acceptance of herself. So that's like a big breakthrough. That was her big obstacle at the beginning of this. So both Magan and Haley were having these huge breakthroughs. We'll talk about Haley in her section. In the end, Magan and Haley say I love you to each other. Y'all, I gasped. Like, I watch a lot of these shows and I'm not a very reacty person when I'm watching. Once I've absorbed it and I'm chatting with y'all about it, I'm like, okay, I have more reactions. But in this moment, I gasped. Like, when Haley said, I love you. And then I gasped again when Magan said it back. I was literally like, like an actual, like, visceral gasp. Even more than the tattoos. I was just like, oh, I love you? Are you serious? Like, we're in love. After 3 weeks. Gagged. I was so gagged. These are the moments I live for. They are. It's honestly really sad when it comes time for them to part ways, because it feels like star-crossed lovers or something. Like you're tearing them apart now. And they're both really sad about it. They're breaking down. And now Magan has to go deal with Dayna, and they're just like completely in a fight ever since this phone call. Which the phone call was kind of unclear. The edit was not the best on it, and Dayna and Magan have like their own sides to it. Like Dayna's side is that she called Magan crying and saying she wanted to leave the show, and Dayna expected Magan to comfort her, to support her, to come to her and like help her. I don't know. Magan's side of the story is that Dayna called her and said, I'm breaking up with you, I'm going home to Michigan, I'm leaving the show. Dayna saw this phone call as like a cry for help, while Magan is saying like, but you didn't ask for help, and I'm not going to enable this like indirect manipulative way of asking for help. It's hard. The conversation was hard to follow because we don't hear Magan's side of it, of the conversation. We just hear Dayna, and we kind of have to rely on what Dayna says that Magan said, and then we also don't hear verbatim the stuff Magan was claiming Dayna said. So I was just kind of confused. But the point was that like Dayna was asking for help by not asking for help and saying, I want to break up with you. And Mel and Dayna were both telling Magan like, how dare you, this was her cry for help and you weren't there for her. Mel is very much an enabler of anything Dayna does, and Magan's patience had just worn thin and she had had it. I mean, for Magan and Dayna, I really wish I could know how their relationship has been, or, you know, like if this is a pattern of how Dayna asks for help, or like is toxic. Like, is she always threatening breaking up with Magan? Is Magan toxic too? It's hard to know if like Magan's reaction was like an accumulation of a long time of Dayna manipulating her and getting away with it, or if this is just how they fight and they're both toxic to each other all the time. I really don't know which one it is. Dayna seems to be like, I don't recognize you anymore. So it's like, it doesn't seem like Magan acts like this most of the time. And it just kind of feels like she's fed up about it. Magan also says she doesn't recognize Dayna. So I'm like, does Dayna always do this? Is she always toxic? Or is she just like influenced by Mel, or having fun fucking around, or whatever. With Magan and Dayna, I need more information, because even the edit doesn't show very clearly what's going on. I do think Magan in this argument specifically is more in the right of like, you didn't ask for help, so I'm not gonna come and help you. And that's fair. Communication wise, it's not direct, and it's like, you can't expect someone to read your mind. And I feel like Dayna wanted Magan to read her mind, and that's just not healthy communication, and Magan was trying to call that out. And after this fight, they are fighting. They're in a fight. Magan is ready to like break things off, and Dayna is mad that Magan didn't help her. I don't think Magan is perfect or flawless in any way. I even think crossing the boundary she did with Haley was wrong, or I don't know, what am I it comes back to the question, what am I supposed to be rooting for on this show? Am I supposed to be rooting for them to hook up or not in the trial marriages? Because for drama's sake, I am rooting for it. But for, like, marriage and getting engaged sake, I'm not rooting for that. I don't think that's a healthy thing to happen this quickly and, like, in this weird structured way. And televised, for that matter. Let's not forget that aspect. I think both Dayna and Magan crossed too many lines and boundaries in their trial marriages, physically with their partners, and intimacy-wise and emotional-wise and feelings-wise and love-wise. But I do have to commend Magan for being completely honest and transparent about it to Dayna, in contrast to Dayna, who is downplaying everything, you know, feeling very offended, how could you, to Magan. And it's just like, girl, you were doing very similar stuff with Mel over there, so what is the thing? So when they're back together, all this information's coming out, the Spotify playlist thing comes out. Later, Magan asks about the tattoos, and Dayna confesses, we do have matching tattoos, and now Magan is betrayed because that was their plan, which, yeah, diabolical. So all in all, I like Magan a lot more, just because, like, the things Dayna is doing seem a lot more toxic. Like, I think Magan also crossed lines and went too far. She fell in love with a person, for crying out loud, but, like, at least Magan was upfront. She was like, we went all the way, we have feelings, and we're in love. And Dayna's like, what the fuck? Dayna's actually kind of shocked. She's like, I thought I was going to be the bad guy. Magan went further than her with her trial marriage, which I feel like Dayna thought was not possible. Like, who could go further than me and Mel? Well, there you go. The I love yous take it over the edge. Well, let's get some opinions going. Like, what's worse? Getting matching tattoos, saying I love you to each other, or going all the way physically? What's the ranking of, like, what's the most intimate? The matching tattoos are unhinged, especially when that was their plan. But to some people, tattoos don't mean that much, and they already have a lot of tattoos, like, whatever. And then the I love yous, I'm like, oh, that's deep. But it's also just words at the end of the day. It's not anything permanent on your skin. And then getting physically intimate fully, like, that's pretty big too. I don't know. I'm actually at a loss of, like, what is the most intimate, worst thing your partner could do that's, like, cheating. So yeah, Dayna is over here very much victimizing herself. I mean, I get it. It is a betrayal. Like, it's big what Magan reveals. Dayna's just completely crashing out. She's calling her mom to come immediately, get on a flight. This coming from the girl who said she never asked for help. As soon as something bad happened in her relationship, she immediately called her mom for help. The math isn't mathing completely. Dayna definitely feels like a villain of the season along with Mel, whereas Magan seems more complex. I think Magan won a lot of points for me for being so honest and direct. Like, even a lot of the other random couples, like, they struggle with being direct and just saying things, no bullshit. And Magan did that. And Magan and Haley both. They were kind of a united front in that way of, like, they both were so honest and straightforward with their partners about what happened in their trial marriage, instead of, like, you know, waiting for Spotify playlist receipts to come out and incriminate them or anything. It's just interesting how different the approaches are between Magan and Haley and Mel and Dayna. So do I think Magan and Dayna should stay together? Absolutely not. I ship Magan and Haley. And even if Magan doesn't end up with Haley, I think she still learned a big lesson about, like, what life could be like, and maybe her relationship with Dayna is not the best. Like, she could do better, be better. They've only been together for 1.5 years, which to me, this was a big factor in how I think about this couple. Like, I definitely don't think they should be together, especially because it hasn't been that much time. Like, 1.5 years is not nothing, but it's also not the worst. Like, it could be a lot worse. Like, I feel bad for some of these couples that feel very rocky and have been together, like, 5 to 10 years. 1.5 years, it kind of makes sense why they're a little more toxic or why they're not on the same page. Like, this might just need to be a 1.5-year relationship. And I think it also makes it make sense why they were both so all in on their child marriages. They don't have as much at stake time-wise compared to some of the other couples. It's not to say that a 1.5-year relationship has no stakes or anything, but it's just like when you compare and contrast, it's kind of quick to be giving an ultimatum on marriage at all. And also to be like, for sure, this is my person forever and ever. For me, that little fact made me ship Magan and Haley a lot more easily, even though the other side of things is the other extreme, and it makes me not want to ship them as much. So let me get into the next couple, Pilar and Haley. Her relationship is 10 years old, which that one feels like, oh my God, there's so much at stake. That's a decade. That's more than a third of their lives. That's kind of wild. And so Haley actually issued the ultimatum to Pilar, and Pilar had kind of a similar story to Magan in that her family doesn't approve of her sexuality. She hid their relationship for 8 years, and when she did come out, her family didn't speak to her again. Fuck homophobia and fuck homophobic religions. Like, they can go to hell since they're so scared of that place. It's so sad to just see beautiful people that are just trying to love and find love disowned by their own families. Like, how fucking embarrassing to be someone like that. The family, obviously, not the victim of the situation. It pisses me off. It was really sweet to see when Pilar met Kyle's parents. Like, Kyle's parents were really kind and supportive to her. Obviously, she got emotional. Like, that's just so sad that she doesn't hear that from her own parents, that she doesn't hear anything from her own parents. So yeah, I already discussed Pilar and Kyle's marriage. It was not the best because Pilar did cross this boundary and Kyle had a lot of boundaries. On Pilar's side, the way Kyle was being so guilty about this kiss made Pilar feel guilt that she wasn't feeling super guilty, if that makes sense. Like, it felt like Pilar was guilty that she wanted to explore more with Kyle. And Kyle being there, having all these strong boundaries, was really poking holes in her fantasy. Like, I don't know if she would have gone all the way or anything, but she definitely wanted to explore physically. Pilar and Haley have been together for 10 years, and they are their first loves. They're like high school sweethearts almost. So like, they probably have curiosity about what else is out there. They've only known each other. So yeah, Pilar didn't really get a full experience. She seemed to have a good amount of resentment towards Kyle. I felt like Kyle caring so much about this and being so guilty made Pilar look like she doesn't give a fuck about her partner. And then on Haley and Magan's side, we already talked a lot about Haley and Magan. They exchanged I love yous. They got very, very deep. It's kind of interesting how it was the oldest relationship with the youngest relationship in this couple. It's like 10 years versus 1.5 years. But Haley is like very mature and at peace with the journey, and she mentions a few times like she's okay with the outcome, whether it's we're together or separate. She just wants to make sure they grow, and whether they grow apart or towards each other, that remains to be seen, and she's very open to either option. I do think Haley mentions a lot that she's so different from Pilar, that they're so different, and it's just like kind of hinting at this thing of like, are they even compatible if they're so different? And that's what kind of Haley realizes as it goes on, like maybe us being that different is not making the best relationship, and we could find more compatible people out there, which is the whole point of the ultimatum, I guess, experiment. One wild breakthrough for Haley is that Magan makes her rethink her stance on having children. Haley never wanted to have children, but Magan is very excited by the idea of having a family. She's fine with carrying the child, and Haley's kind of like, well, that sweetens the deal, and she's kind of more down. I feel like that's a big breakthrough. It just feels like a big impact on Haley's life and outlook. It really feels like Haley changes a lot through this experiment, and she's surprisingly like calm and level-headed about it. Because I know when I go through changes, I am freaking out. But Haley is very like at peace, and it's okay. I'm forever changed, and the outcome will be the outcome. It's like the girl is so zen. And once Pilar and Haley get back together, they're not in a great place. At the changeover dinner, they're already fighting. Pilar is mad that Haley is posting like passive-aggressive quotes on her Instagram story or something. I forgot what the quote was. Doesn't matter. And Haley's mad that Pilar blocked her on social media. So there's already like drama and tension with them. And then they have this deep chat on the balcony where Haley very bluntly confesses what happened and that she went all the way with Magan and they're in love, all those things. Pilar has a very normal, natural reaction to this. She's heartbroken, obviously. This was her worst fear and it came true. She asked how many times and Haley couldn't answer. I mean, because it wouldn't help, but also I think she lost count. Oh God. Poor Pilar, that's rough. And it's rough for Dayna too, with Magan. Like, even though Dayna is being hypocritical more, Pilar didn't get the chance to be hypocritical about it, even though she might have wanted it, she might not. But Pilar had a shitty, very cold trial marriage, and Haley was over here falling in love. So this one's a tough one. Like, should Pilar and Haley stay together? Like, based on what I've seen, no. But based on them being together for 10 years, maybe? I lean towards no for them because they got together when they were 18. And that's so young. And they are each other's first loves. They say they're super different from each other. They seem to want different things. I would say it's better to split based on those things, but I don't take the 10 years lightly. Like, that's a long time. There's a lot at stake there, so for them, I wouldn't be surprised if they still get engaged and the edit just, I don't know, y'all. Like, for Magan, I'm like, yeah, whatever, break up. It's been a year and a half. Haley's family talks about, like, they love Pilar like a sister. She's been kind of, like, adopted into Haley's family. Like, I imagine they have all these mutual friends and this whole life together. Like, 10 years just feels like a lot of time to, like, ingrain lives together. I don't know. For them, they could go either way. I do think the love story and potential with Haley and Magan is so big that I'm, like, rooting for that. But I don't know. I feel like the ultimatum always makes it seem like someone from the trial is going to get together. But if anyone's going to do it, Haley and Magan, come on, come through. So the final couple I want to talk about is Marita and Ashley. Hey, somebody had to be the forgettable couple, and this is certainly the one. And at first, Marita seems like another one that's like really excited to be single, really excited to date. She was like, I'm curious about dating the other women. She was just so excited. She was giving a little Vanessa 2.0, like from season 1, and I thought she was going to be trouble with AJ. I thought they were going to be like the trouble couple, and they ended up not paired together, so they didn't end up in any trouble. Thought Marita was going to be like really trying to hook up and obsessed with that, but like as the season went on, the girl just wants some damn flowers. Like, can somebody just buy this girl some damn flowers? Like, that's all she freaking wants. She really wants more romantic gestures, romantic antics as she calls them, from Ashley, and Ashley's like, no, I don't want to do that. And it's just like, okay, like, y'all are just incompatible. Like, I don't care about y'all at all. Sorry. Marita and Britney did still have a fun time together. Like I said, they were besties by the end. And Marita was honestly pleased by, like, the simplest things. Like, just a little flowers, a little tablecloth, a little candle lit. And Britney did all these things very effortlessly. Marita was able to comfort Britney about AJ. Britney helped Marita unpack her kind of toxic positivity and people pleasingness and encouraged her to like stand up for herself and be vocal about what she wants. And then Ashley and Bridget, we also talked about, they were also giving nothing in their trial marriage, very roomy vibes. Ashley had little to no screen time this whole season, so I really don't know anything about her. And when they come back together, Ashley and Bridget are somehow not in a good place. They like started off not in a good place and came back the exact same, like not in a good place. They seem to have enjoyed their trial partners and are kind of like throwing it in each other's face like, well, Bridget wasn't like this and Britney did this stuff for me and it wasn't a big deal. They're like arguing at the pool table and it's like, why are y'all together? Like there's literally no spark, romance, chemistry, love that I can see from this limited edited TV show. Ashley just seems really bitter that Marita wants a few romantic gestures here and there, and Marita's just upset that like Ashley can't put in a little effort to like do this. Marita's being very clear about what she wants, and Ashley's just kind of like, why would you want that? Y'all are just not compatible. Like, break up already. I'm over it. So that's the Queer Ultimatum Season 2, or the Ultimatum Queer Love Season 2, as is the official name. I would love to hear your thoughts on this season so far, and the big moments, the cast, how it compares to Season 1. I will be making another video about the next batch of episodes, so stay tuned for that. I'm also wrapping up my first pre-order of my merch shirt. July 1st is the last day to pre-order my Touching Grass shirt. I'm very excited. It's almost time for them to ship and get made. And it's just like this limited run. Once they're gone, they're gone. And if you want to support me, if you want to support a small business in Austin who's making the shirt, check out the link in the description. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. I put out new videos whenever I feel like it about TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things. And you can follow me at Miscellaneous to keep up with me, or just turn on the bell notification here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!